Once upon a time, there was a perfectly ordinary gray mouse, and that mouse was me. My name is Nibble. I lived with my family in the corner of a cozy little burrow under a gnarled old tree at the edge of Meadowood. Though we were a family of simple mice, I had always dreamed of doing something brave and grand. So, when I overheard the birds chirping about a mysterious midnight moonflower, blooming only once every 100 years, my tiny heart thumped with excitement. I knew this was my chance. The midnight moonflower was said to grow at the heart of Moonlit Grove, a secret place only whispered about in Meadowood. Rumor had it that whoever picked the moonflower would be granted one wish. And I had a wish indeed. All my life I had been the smallest of the mice, often left behind and overlooked. My greatest dream was to be big enough that nobody could ignore me. But finding the flower wouldn't be easy. The journey would be long, and Moonlit Grove was guarded by the Owl King, the oldest and wisest of all creatures in Meadowood. Some said he had eyes that could see right into your heart, that he knew your every fear and your every dream. The thought made me quiver, but I shook off my fears. So one soft spring evening, when the moon was round and bright, I tiptoed past my sleeping family and set off alone. The night air was cool and crisp, carrying the sweet smell of dew and blossoms. I followed the path I had heard the birds describe, watching out for the faint traces they'd left. My paws were quiet in the grass, but my heart beat like a drum. Suddenly, a rustling made me freeze. I looked up to see two enormous eyes staring at me. A fox. "Where are you going, little one?" the fox purred, its sharp teeth glinting in the moonlight. I'm looking for the midnight moonflower," I stammered, barely able to speak. The fox raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. "Brave little mouse," it said, licking its lips. "But there are many dangers in the forest. You should be careful." With that, the fox slinked off, leaving me trembling in its shadow. But I forced myself to take a deep breath. I was scared, yes, but there was no turning back. I continued, carefully keeping to the shadows. After what felt like hours of sneaking and hiding, I finally reached a small clearing. And there, in the center of the clearing, was Moonlit Grove. The trees were taller than anything I had ever seen, their branches spreading wide and thick like a dark green ceiling. I crept closer, hoping I could slip through without being seen. But just as I stepped under the branches, a powerful voice echoed through the grove. "Who dares to enter my forest?" My heart skipped a beat, and I looked up to see two golden eyes glowing from a high branch. It was the Owl King himself, with feathers as dark as midnight, and eyes like stars. "Only the bravest and truest may seek the moonflower," he said, his gaze sharp and unyielding. "Tell me, small one, why do you want it?" I swallowed hard, feeling very, very small under his gaze. But something in me stirred. "I want to be bigger," I squeaked. "I want others to notice me, to see that I can be brave and strong." The Owl King tilted his head, studying me with a curiosity that seemed to pierce right through me. "Very well," he said, and with a sweep of his wings, he pointed his beak toward a spot deeper in the grove. My paws tingled with anticipation as I followed his gaze. There it was, the midnight moonflower, glowing softly under the moonlight. I had never seen anything so beautiful. Its petals shimmered with a gentle silvery light, and the air around it was thick with the scent of dreams and stardust. With a deep breath, I stepped forward, reached out and gently plucked the flower. Instantly, a warmth surged through me, and I felt different. "Remember, little mouse," the Owl King said, his voice softer now. "True greatness is not measured by size. You may take the flower, but the real power lies in your heart." I clutched the moonflower close, unsure of what he meant, but feeling a strange sense of peace. The flower's magic filled me with warmth and light, and for the first time I felt more than just brave. I felt whole. When I finally returned to my family at dawn, I found them awake and worried. But the moment they saw me, they gasped in surprise. They said I looked different, but they couldn't quite tell why. and I understood what the Owl King had meant. I didn't need to be bigger to be seen. The courage I'd found was shining right through me. From that day on, I was no longer just little Nibble. My family and even the animals of Meadowood saw me as someone strong, someone who had faced the great Owl King and returned. They listened to my stories with wide eyes and told others about my adventure. And though I stayed the same small gray mouse, I knew that I had gained something far greater than size. My heart, once timid, now beat with the courage of a mouse who had dared to dream, who had braved the darkest forest for a chance at something more. And that was enough for me.